Quilters Vibe time, and I believe it's Daisy who chose this one. It is the Night Sky quilt by Jaybird Quilts, and it's pretty dramatic. So I could piece together either cutting the right kind of shapes and making a background like that, or I could interpret it a little less literally. So I will do a background with stars, and I decided to use a cut file for that. What I did have to do first is, because there wasn't any black or any suitably dark background in my For the Love of Homemade Kits kit, I think all the navies had quite a lot of pattern in the background, so I had to go to Stash for that. And what I did was I found this one, and one reason why I've picked this is firstly because it has some stars already on the background, and so after I put it through the silhouette and it's cut those, you've got that extra layer. And it's also kind of darkened on 2 or 3 sides, sort of blackened. There's a quote that I want to use, and there's a piece of paper. This is a pile of papers that I pulled out that I thought would go, because I wanted to do a bit of a paper stack under the photo, and I wanted to use this one. And this is I'm not sure whether it's a very dark navy or a black, but it goes pretty well when it's near these parts. Now, the only issue is that after I'd made the cut file a bit bigger and twisted and turned it, it's sort of very close on this side and hasn't come quite as far on this side. So I'm going to play with it a little bit and see which way around it goes. I want this paper underneath, so it will have a bit of a rainbow. Before I do that though, and that's one reason why I've left it on the mat still, is I want to sprinkle some mist on it, definitely gold. The way I got the colour scheme was I had a look through the embellies, die cuts and things and the papers, and I decided I'd go with the sort of colour scheme from Paige Evans' Truly Grateful. The oranges and pinks and yellow and red, and there were some papers from Truly Grateful in the kit, so I've pulled out those and pulled out some other ones that I think would work. And yes, I really like this one, and I can use both sides of that for a mat, and yeah, all that stuff. So I'm going to get moving and start with the mist sprinkles. And leaving it on the mat means that the stars that are left behind will also get some mist on them, and I will use them for something else. So that's just a bit of a bonus. So because some of the gold is sort of leaning towards the rose, slightly coppery gold, I'm going to use that Tim Holtz. It's the Distress Stain in Tarnished Brass, and it definitely has a slightly more orangey sort of hue to it. It's almost dry, and I have a couple of big blobs here that I'm not sure I love, but I haven't decided exactly which orientation I'm going to have this anyway. I ended up putting mist on all 4 corners because, for that same reason. The photo is this one, and because he's facing this way, it obviously will have to be somewhere on this side of the page. And I'm going to add extra stars, probably with punches, so whether they go in a diagonal or outwards or how, I don't know yet. There's a quote that I want to use for the journaling, and the last 2 lines, it's a stanza of a poem by E.E. Cummings, and the last 2 lines I was going to use as the title. So what I wanted was for the journaling, to start the journaling and then feed into the title. Now, given the way the stars are, I really don't think that that's going to happen. So I'll see how I go when I get to that bit. Most of it's dry except those blobby bits, so I might put this aside and, and get on with cutting some photo mats. I'll get onto that bit first, I think, and then worry about. So because I'm hoping to use this as a background, if I trim one line from here and then the same from one side, I think I measured this out to be about 3/4 of an inch. Then I can always put some background to make a frame behind that when I get up to using it. I fussy cut out a bunch of these, the 2 sheets with labels and squares and things, and chuck those in with the embellies. There's a couple of tickets from that Dear Lizzie sheet that had the tickets on it. I'll link to my kit share video in the description, so if you want to see the whole kit and figure out where everything came from. So that's the paper stack, which I'll arrange. Now, I went around 3 times with messy uneven stitching. This is what I had left after I pulled it off the sheet. This is a Paige Evans cut file, if I didn't mention that before. This is what it's going to look like with that behind it. That's quite nice. I do have a little bit of leeway because I can cut that quite a bit smaller. Because the stars don't go all the way to the edge, I have a bit of a margin to play with. So I'll probably stick that down and then chop off whatever excess there is, and that way I can see if I can salvage any of that. I might just tack it down with permanent glue dots because it does, stitched paper does kind of start curling up. Okay, so I need it about there. Yep, that works. This one, oh, we only just make it. Right, that'll be enough to hold it in place. Probably would rather have this on this side and that, switch those 2 around. That's fine, I can do that. That's a little bit better, not a whole lot, but you know, might as well stick that down before I change my mind, and then we'll get layering. Start with this. I want one of the sections that has a little bit of the blue and the red. That would be nice if I could just sort of tuck maybe part of that somewhere. This is really nice, and this brings in all the blue, but it's quite big. I could cut those apart. The reason I wanted these tickets is because on every page I sneak in the 7 and the 10 for the date. So I'm just going to circle the 7 bit on this one. I might have to pull it out just a tiny bit more. I'm going to get the title down, which will tie into the journaling. Instead of bringing in extra letter stickers, I figured out that I can get most of what I need from some of these words. And if I keep going back to the same words, then I won't have completely decimated every word that there is in the set. So my journaling is going to be this last stanza of the poem, and the very last line will be the title. It has 3 M's, and I think when I looked at this set of word stickers, there's 1 M, but there are several 2 M's, but there are a few W's, so I can borrow one of those. It means that I definitely have to try. I have to come back to the same words every time. Yeah, maybe this one. It's not exactly the same colour as that, and I will put it up on Pop Dots. Journaling, and then I definitely want to bring in, I mean look, I've already cheated with the background paper, so I might as well. Probably should learn to write a little bit slower because I tend to get a slightly thicker line. Alright, put the date there, don't really need it, but it's there all the same. 3 areas, 3 lots of stars. Okay, I can't believe I'm not actually going through with putting the whole, you know, punched star business. That's not like me, huh? Massive. These appear to be exactly the same colour and they're round. Let's have a look and see. The only other thing I could think of that might, I know I said I wasn't going to bring in any other motif, but I seem to have lost red. There's a tiny bit there, 1 piece here and 1 piece here. So maybe if I bring in some little red hearts, just 1. I'm going to leave it before I ruin it if I haven't already. It's kind of a bit, yeah, not really as extra. as I would normally do. I will finish that stitching and take some still photos, put them after this, and link up my blog if you want to have a closer read of the journaling. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to check out Christy, Daisy and Sarah to see what they've done with that same star inspiration, and also the other ladies who are doing For the Love of Homemade Kits. So I will link all the relevant stuff down below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.